Om Vakratunda Mahakaya Suryakoti Samaprabha Nirvignam Kuru Me Deva Sarvakaryeshu Sarvada Om Shri Mahaganapataye Namaha Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om Sadashiva Samarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam Asmadgurubhyo Namaha Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavad Padam Shankaram Loka Shankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutra Bhashya Kritau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah Ishwaro Gururatmeti Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavad Vyapta Dehaya Dakshina Murtaye Namaha Om Shri Medha Dakshinamurti Swamine Namaha Om Sahana Vavato Sahanau Bhunakto Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhetamastu ma Vidvishavahai Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om Om Parthaya Pratibodhitam Bhagavatam Narayana Swayam Vyasena Gratitam Purana Munina Madhye Mahabharatam Advaitamritavarshiniim Bhagavatim Ashtadashadhyayinim Ambatvam Anusandhadami Bhagavad Gite Bhavatveshinim Yam Brahma Varunendra Rudra Marutaha Stunvanti Divyai Stavaihi Vedai Sankapada Kramopanishadaihi Gayanti Yam Samagaha Dhyanavastita Dadgatena Manasam Pashyanti Yam Yoginaha Yasyantanna Vidusura Suraganaha Devaya Tasmai Namaha Om. So, namaste once again, everyone.
Namaste, Guruji.
Namaste.
Guruji.
Namaste.
Namaskaram, Guruji.
Namaskaram, everyone. So, we are seeing the 12th sloka. Sarvadvarani Sanyamya Manohridhi Nirudhya cha Mudnyadhayatmana Pranam Astito Yoga Dharanam. So, from the 5th verse onwards of this chapter, Krishna is talking about Antakale Ishvara Smaranam. And he is also giving detailed guidelines as to how to go about it, so that the jiva is able to travel to Brahmaloka and then get jnanam from Sakshat Brahmaji and attain moksha. A process which is called Krama Mukti. But while going through all these verses, one thing that we should bear in mind is that Krishna is talking about an Ajnani Jiva, a Jiva who has not yet got moksha, who is still caught in the whirlpool of samsara. That we must remember. He's not talking about a Jnani. He'll talk about a Jnani in the next chapter. So his first instruction was that if a person's only goal in life is Ishvara Prapti, then at the time of death, he or she should have only the thought of Ishvara and no other thought. And he further said that thinking of whatever object one gives up the body at the time of death, that very object one attains. We have seen stories, Jataparada story in this regard. And therefore, if a person departs with the thought of Ishvara, Ishvara Prapti is guaranteed. But then there's a question which could come, which could arise, as to how only in the last moment before death one can have thought of Ishvara. For that he said, if one remembers Ishvara all the time, then it will be possible to have the same thought at the time of death. So he said, you must always fix your mind and intellect upon me, Ishvara. But this does not mean that one should be absorbed in the thought of Ishvara 24/7. Any problem? Anybody said something? Okay. So it is not that whole day, right from morning you wake up till you go to sleep, you only thinking of Ishvara. He said that's true, but while thinking of Ishvara all the time, one should not neglect Swadharma Anushtanam. So one has to discharge one's duties also. Then he started giving some practical tips as to how to go about this whole process of having the thought of Ishvara at the time of death, which will take the Jiva to Brahma Loka to attain Karma Mukti. He talked about the following tips. His first condition was that one must be a Nishkama Upasaka. Then only he can engage in the thought of the Lord through meditation with a mind that is undistracted. If you are a Sakama Upasaka, all the time you are thinking of some desire or the other. So where can Ishvara thought come? So Nishkama Upasaka, first condition. Then at the time of death, he said, bring the Pancha Pranas between the eyebrows by the power of yoga. Yoga Balainacha, he said. And then in this sloka, the 12th sloka, he says that having restrained all the sense organs, means what? Having taken your mind away from the sense organs and having confined the mind to the heart. Mano Hridhi Nirudhyacha. And having fixed one's pranas on the top of the head, one should take to yogic concentration. All these, to us it all looks very, very difficult. When or forget last moment, even now we are unable to do all these things. And what about the last moment before death and all? We will ask that question. That is because we have never thought about all these things. We have never practiced all these things. But there are yogis who practice all these things. Pranayama, as I said in the last class. They are able to do all these things, control their prana, control their heartbeat. In fact, one of the aims of pranayama, in the initial stages, I am telling you, is to slow down your heartbeat. Because, there is a belief that the length of your life is determined by the number of heartbeats. I don't have any praman for that, but people generally say. So in yoga, in pranayama, when you do, in fact, when I was attending yoga classes, the teacher used to tell before starting, pranayama session, a detailed pranayama session. Special sessions only on pranayama will be there. There the teacher used to tell, look at your watch and take your pulse. You just check how many heartbeats are there in 1 minute. Note that number. Maybe it is 70, 72, 80, whatever it is. Then do pranayama. Then at the end of it, again check your pulse. And you will find if you have really successfully done the pranayama as instructed, 10 to 12 heartbeats you can reduce. Suppose it is 72, it can come down to 60 also. If it is 80, it can come down to 68, 70 like that. So it is possible through all these yogic exercises, everything is possible. Each and every part of our body, its movements, its action can be controlled. I wouldn't put it controlled, can be managed, can be directed. So yogic concentration also, if you have practiced, it will automatically come. And you, through yogic practice, concentration, you go on doing it. At the time of death, you will be able to do all these things that Krishna is advising. Anyway, so we were discussing this sloka towards the end of the last class. And I was mentioning that Krishna, through these guidelines, is taking us to a very popular form of meditation, which is Omkara Upasana, which we will talk about in the next sloka. So here he is saying, Sarvadvarani Sanyamya. First one should withdraw from all the sense organs, make them inactive. Then Manaha Hridi Nirudhya, bring the mind back to your heart, in which the Lord is visualized. And therefore, having withdrawn the mind and placed in the heart, Atmana Pranam Adhaya, having fixed one's prana, Pranam Murdhnim, it should be brought to the top of the head, Murdha, no? Top of the head, which is basically, if you, in the mouth, the top portion, you can touch it with your tongue also, which connects to the top of the head, where the Sushumna Nadi emerges out. And what should be the mind doing at that time? Yoga Dharana Mastitaha. So one should practice the yogic concentration. Dharana means focusing, dwelling, concentrating. As I said, how is it possible? If you ask, it should have been practiced earlier. Then only when the time comes, all these things will happen involuntarily. One should be very clear in one's thinking. One should know, he should tell himself, I have started practicing for this long ago, because I know that all that I am having now will not go with me. All this arthakama will not go with me. I will have to travel alone, which would be frightening or even boring. Therefore, I should seek my way out. Even for traveling 6 months down the line to some foreign country, we do so much planning, isn't it? And that we will go and come back. Maybe for 2 months, 3 months, 6 months, maximum 6 months only, because the visas will be given not more than 6 months visitor visa. For that itself, we start planning. what all things we should do, what all things we should buy, so many things. Our mind is fully concentrated. We'll make a checklist so that we don't forget anything. Especially if you are having some medicines and all that, like diabetes or blood pressure, etc. Those medicines will not be available in the foreign country. So you have to plan, how long I am going to stay, how long will I require the medicines. So I have to buy and stock those medicines and take it with them. All that planning, we constantly think of that almost 3 months, 6 months early. We are here talking about a long journey and a journey never to come back. So how much planning, thinking is required for that? So this fellow tells himself, you see, I have done everything for my family till now. Now let me look for my own way. I am a mumukshu, but I am not able to come to Jnanakanda in this life. But I would like to go to Brahmaloka and get that Jnanam and then get moksha. So I will study the Krishna's 8th chapter very well, understand, and then do all this. What Krishna is asking me to practice. This is what that person is thinking about. So a person should practice yoga dharana. And here, yoga dharana, Krishna is referring to Omkara Upasana. And what is this Omkara Upasana? As I said, Krishna talks about that in the next verse, which we will read now. Omityekaksharam brahma vyaharan mamanusmaran yah prayati tyajan deham sayati paramam gatim. So the Anvaya is Vyaharan ekaksharam om iti brahma anusmaran mam saha yah prayati tyajan deham yati paramam gatim. Vyaharan. Vyaharan means uttering. Uttering means mentally uttering, because we are talking about upasana, meditation here. Ekaksharam om iti. The monosyllable om. Brahma, which is the name of Brahman. Anusmaran mam, and remembering me. Sahayah prayati, one who departs. Tyajan deham, leaving the body. Yati paramam gatim, attains the supreme goal. So uttering the monosyllable om, which is the name of Brahman, and remembering me, one departs leaving the body, or you can say if one departs leaving the body, he attains that supreme goal. Paramam gatim. So what does this Nishkama Omkara Upasaka will do at the time of death is the topic. See, till now, Krishna has talked about so many things which all look very complicated to us, isn't it? Very difficult to do. And he is now giving a very beautiful key how to do it. Just do meditation on Om. That is not difficult. In fact, even when you are lying down, going to sleep, remember the Lord and chant Om till you get sleep. In your mind, say Om, Om, Om. And I can assure you it will give you good sleep. That does not mean that if you sit in meditation and chant Om, you will go to sleep. You should not. Anyway. So, what you should remember, as I said earlier also in the beginning of the class, throughout this discussion is this Upasaka has never come to Nirguna Ishvara. He has not come to Vedanta Jnanam. And therefore, he does not have Aham Brahmasmi iti Jnanam. And therefore, this Upasana meditation cannot be equated to Nididhyasana. One can do Nididhyasanam only after one has gone through Shravanam and Mananam, which this Ajnani Jiva has not done. Even though he is a very informed person with regard to all other things, even though he is very well informed with regard to Upasana, he is ignorant with regard to the essential oneness between Jivatma and Paramatma. That he does not know. And if he has already got that knowledge, why will he bother about Karma Mukti at all? Because with that knowledge itself, liberation is guaranteed here and now. So all this Karma Mukti topic is only with regard to an Ajnani regarding Aikyam. So an Ajnani Nishkama Upasaka uses Omkara for remembering the Lord. Om iti Vyaharan. Vyaharan means uttering. So he utters the word Om, which is Ekaksharam. Ekaksharam Brahma. Ekaksharam means monosyllabled word, which reveals Brahman. Ekaksharam. It's a word, but it has only one syllable. And that Om reveals Brahman. Of course, here he is giving a very common upasana which is talked about in the Shastra, which is Omkara Upasana. But we must understand that it does not mean everybody has to come to Omkara Upasana. Suppose you have successfully practiced throughout the life some Ishtadevata Upasana, then it's fine. You can utter that Nama also. And suppose a person says, I have not practiced anything. That's why Krishna is warning, start practicing now itself. You can start with Rama, Rama, Rama. That is why in our culture, even when they yawn, they say Krishna, Krishna, Krishna. And when you sit on the floor, especially in old age, you will say Krishna, you will call Krishna. And also while getting up, you will say Krishna. So at every opportunity, we utter the name of Krishna, Rama, etc. And therefore, whatever Nama I have practiced, that I have to utter. And Omkara Upasaka utters Om. And Omkara Upasana is not difficult. You can start Omkara Upasana even now. And through this word, Anusmaran, he remembers what? Not any finite thing in the world. Because none of them is going to accompany him. Whether it is money, property, relatives, spouse, children, grandchildren. None of them are going to accompany him. In the travel, in the Antakale travel, the only company is Bhagawad. So I am going to drop all others and all others are also going to drop me in one stage or the other. They cannot help me. That is their limitation. And therefore, remembering God is the only help. Yaha prayati. So the one who travels with God, accompanied by, assisted by God through a special path. This Nishkama Upasaka has got a special route, which Krishna will explain later. It is called Shukla Gati. So Yaha Prayati, the one who travels. Deham Tyajan, having dropped the physical body here itself. So the physical body, Stula Shariram, is dropped here and it is also burned down. And therefore, there is no question of physical body traveling. And there is no question of Atma traveling also, because Atma, the consciousness, cannot travel because it is all pervading. And therefore, what travels is the subtle and the causal body, in which all the Punya Papa Karmas are stored. So in the causal body, Karana Sharira, the Punya Papa Karmas are stored. It is they who travel, and which alone we call the soul or Jivaha and all. And therefore, this Jivaha, consisting of Sukshma Shariram and of course the reflected consciousness, it travels. And where does it travel to? Sahayati Paramam Gatim. Such a Jivatma travels towards the highest goal of life, which leads to Kramamukti. So the travel is towards Kramamukti, because by which we mean going to Brahmaloka, gaining knowledge and liberation. So there is a layover. Like we take long distance flights and all, one stop flight, some layover in some place in between, like that. In Brahmaloka, there is a layover where you can get jnana. Then gaining knowledge, you get liberation. So next sloka. Ananya cheta satatam yo mam smarati nityashaha tasyaham sulabha partha nityayuktasya yoginah. Anmaya is aham sulabha tasya yoginah nityayuktasya yah smarati mam nityashaha satatam anyachetaha he partha. Aham sulabha, I am easily accessible. Tasya yoginah, for that yogi. Nitya yuktasya, who is ever steadfast. Yaha, and who. Smarati mam, remembers me. Nityashaha satatam, always. Continuously. Ananya chetaha, with an undistracted mind. He partha, O Arjuna. I am easily available to that yogi who is ever steadfast and who constantly and continuously remembers me, always with an undistracted mind, O Arjuna. So here Krishna is answering a question which we have already raised and answered a little while ago, which is Krishna is giving all these guidelines and all, how are things possible, how these things are possible, especially at the time of death. For that, Krishna's answer is in this verse, as I said, which we have already dealt with before. It is by sheer abhyasa or practice. Now, what is the practice? All the time remembering the fact that everything that I am associated with belongs to the Lord alone. In fact, not only belongs, it is the Lord alone. I have been given an opportunity to be with various people so that I can learn to love them. So this field has been given to me, an exercising field, to learn to love other people, not to get security from them, not for taking anything from them. We will be training only in giving care, love, compassion. And my training all the time is all these things which I am associated with belongs to the Lord. It is the Lord Himself. They are all Lord Himself. I have just got the opportunity to be associated. I have been given a very nice opportunity in this Manushya Janma. And when the time of separation comes also, my thinking is everything belongs to the Lord. And therefore, Lord has to take care of everyone. Well, that is what normally we all worry, as we get old. Our worry is if we go away, what will happen to them, to my family, to my spouse? They will be stranded. They will be in trouble. In fact, our scriptures point out that they are in good condition, not because of you, but in spite of you. Therefore, when you go off, the situation will be better only. And therefore, if you have any such feeling, hand over everything to the Lord, and He promises Yoga Kshemam Mahamyaham. Then your mind will not dwell here. All this requires a lot of practice. And therefore, Krishna says, Yaha mam nityashaha satatam smarati. One who remembers me all the time and remembers that God represents the totality only. Personal God is only for convenience. And even that personal God represents the totality only. And that everything belongs to the macro. The one who remembers this fact, that there is no individual separate from the total. There is no wave separate from the ocean. If a wave claims I have separate existence, it is ignorance on the part of the wave. An enlightened wave never claims individuality. It knows that there is nothing separate from the ocean. With that awareness, Yahamam Nityashaha Satatam Smarati. Regularly reminds himself of this fact. So this person has realized that in his life there is only one fundamental relationship. And that relationship is with God, the totality, the samashti. All other relationships are incidental and temporary. In his preoccupation for the incidental relationships, he does not lose sight of the fundamentals. The fundamental relationship makes him a bhakta, and the incidental relationship makes him a husband, a wife, a father, mother, brother, sister, son, daughter, etc. So all the roles that you play are incidental. And of course, you have to play the roles. Nobody says you should not, you should deny them. But remember always that fundamental relationship is with the Lord. Such a person is described here as Ananya Chetaha, without being distracted by, without being sidetracked by incidental roles that he plays, the one who remembers God. I think in the earlier class I gave you the example of the Tanpura Shruti, which keeps playing in the background in a music concert. So just as a musician does not lose sight of the Tanpura Shruti, this yogi also does not lose sight of God in and through everything that he does. So Anandya Chetaha. And Tasya, for that person, for that yogi, for such a Nishkama Upasakaha, Aham Sulabha, I am the easiest person to remember. Just as a person who is attached to money will always remember money in and through whatever he does. Similarly, if I know the value of remembrance, then remembrance becomes easier because our mind remembers what we value most in our life. You can see this when a woman gives birth to a child. That thought of that child is there, only the thought of the child is there for the woman. Because in the hospital, they will take the child away, give it a wash, things like that. And these days, they don't leave the child with the woman. They take it to separate, place. They have got all the children there. The woman will be always thinking about the child. What is happening to my child? Is it crying? Is it sleeping? Will it be hungry? If it is hungry, will these people bring that child to me to give it milk? So when you are attached to something, and the attachment of a mother and child is the highest at the time of birth, she will always be thinking about the child. So she is Nitya Yukta. Similarly, here, this Yoginaha Nitya Yuktasya. It is easy for that Upasaka who is Nitya Yukta, who is ever integrated, ever balanced, ever clear about his priorities in life. And Yoginaha, who is a seeker. Here we should understand yogi means Nishkama Upasaka. Always thinking of Lord Bhagavan alone. And then what happens? Krishna tells in the next sloka. Mamupetya punarjanma dukkhalayam ashashvatam napnuvanti mahatmanah samsiddhim paramam gatah. Upetya mam mahatmanah na apnuvanti punarjanma ashashvatam dukkha alayam gatah samsiddhim paramam. So one of the important consequences for that yogi is given. Upetya mam, having attained me, Mahatmanaha, those great souls, na apnuvanti, do not take punarjanma, rebirth, ashashvatam, which is an ephemeral, dukkha alayam, abode of misery, gata, having attained, samsiddhim paramam gatim, liberation, the ultimate. So, having attained me, those great souls do not take rebirth, which is an ephemeral abode of misery. They have attained liberation, the ultimate. So, with the previous verse, Krishna concludes his answer to the seventh question of Arjuna. And if you remember what that question was, it was regarding Antakala Ishwara Smarana. That he has answered. What one should do at the last minute just before death, how one should go about it, all that he has answered. Now, in the following verses, he wants to deal with some of the important topics connected with this discussion. So, from this, that is the 15th verse onwards, till the 22nd verse, Krishna wants to talk about two types of human goals. Two types of possible human goals. One human goal he calls God, and the other human goal he calls world. So God and the world. You can understand them as infinite and finite, spiritual and material. And he wants to point out that for an intelligent person, God alone becomes the primary goal. For an indiscriminate one, everything other than God becomes the goal. Avivekina. Everything other than God becomes the goal. And why we say God is the right goal to be chosen, Krishna wants to give the reason. We have discussed this before also. With regard to all finite goals or accomplishment, there are three defects or allied problems. Like a rose is beautiful, but it always comes with what? Lot of thorns, which can prick you if you are not careful. Similarly, the worldly goals are all wonderful goals, all right, but they have traps also. And in that context, we have discussed threefold doshas. I hope you all remember them. These are all, things we have to keep on remembering rather. Dukkha mishritvam, atriptikaratvam, and bandhakatvam. These three defects are there. I'm not going to discuss them again. These are the three significant defects in having the worldly objects as one's life goal. So our dependence on the worldly objects for our happiness, for our security, for our fulfillment, whenever we do, we confront these three defects. And the dependence becomes shaky. And when you choose God alone as your life's goal, when you understand that the only entity you can depend upon is God, you are introduced to God not as an outside entity. You are introduced to God as Tattvamasi. And therefore, what is going to happen? Ultimately, God dependence is going to become self-dependence. Because God is not going to be away from me. God represents tripti. God represents security. God represents fulfillment. And therefore, choosing God is the wisest choice. And that Krishna wants to declare in these verses. Now, comparing the two goals, God and the world, he says, Mam upetya, if a person attains me, the Lord, then what is the advantage? Mahatmanaha, those great people, those successful people who have made a wise choice in their life. Such Mahatmas, Punarjanmana apnuvanti. They never come to finitude again. They never come to mortality again. They do not have ups and downs in life. Because in the case of any other accomplishment, sometimes you are on the top of the world, other times you are cursed and criticized. Like a cricketer, we've got, this Virat Kohli and all. He wins the man of the match in one match. Everyone praises him and says, oh, what a great player. And when he goes through a bad patch, clean bowled in the second ball for no run, 0 run for a duck, he faces the same crowd, and that crowd will heavily come down upon him. They will criticize him like anything. They will say this fellow should be removed from the team. He should retire. All things they will say. And this is what happens with regard to all other goals in life. But here, if you have God as the goal and attain that goal, there is no more worldly goals for you because you are not going to be born again. After attaining the infinite, there is no return to finitude. So here we have to understand Punarjanma means finitude. Na apnuvanti, those people do not attain, do not come to. And what does the finitude represent? He says Dukkhalayam, which is a temple of sorrow. We have heard the temple of Shiva, Rama, Krishna, etc. Krishna coins a new word, Dukkha Alayam. And why this world is Alayam, temple? In Ramalaya, Rama is permanently established through Prana Pratishta, not temporarily, permanently. And that is the basis on which the Ayodhya judgment was given. That temple does not belong to anybody. It belongs to Rama. So you cannot take away what belongs to Rama. And how Rama is there? Because Prana Pratishta has been done, permanently established. Similarly, in Shivalaya, Shiva is permanently there. And in the finite world of samsara, what is the only permanent thing? Dukkha. It is the only source of all dissatisfaction, misery, grief. And if there are any moments of happiness, it is ashashvatam, fleeting, impermanent. And such finitude, otherwise called samsara, Mahatmana na apnuvanti. These intelligent people, these noble people, do not come to that. Then what will happen to them? Paramam samsiddhim gata hai. They have accomplished the highest goal of Purnatvam. They have accomplished moksha. So here we have to understand this very carefully. Krishna is making a sweeping statement that they are attaining moksha. But the way we should understand is they will attain moksha in stages. They first krama mukti, then jnanam, then through jnanam moksha. Because obviously Krishna knows all these things. And he does not want to dwell upon the minute details which he expects all of you would have known by now. All of us rather. So he doesn't want to repeat. So once having gone to the Brahmaloka, gain knowledge, they will attain moksha. And because of that, there is no punarjanma for such people. And he explains further in the next sloka. Brahma bhuvana lokaha punaravartinorjuna mamupetya tu kaunteya punarjanma na vidyate. Hey Arjuna, Brahma bhuvanat पुनः आवर्तिनः तु उपेत्य माम न विद्यते पुनः जन्म हे कौंतेय. हे अर्जुना, लोका है all the worlds are Brahma Bhuvanat, up to and including the realm of Brahman. Punaha avartinaha, subject to return. Tu, but upetya, having attained mam, me, na vidyate, there is no punarjanma, rebirth. He Kaunteya, O son of Kunti. Very important point. It's just now towards the end of the last sloka which I mentioned, Krishna is clarifying, because when I say we should understand that this Krama Mukti, then moksha and all, a question can be there. What if this person doesn't get jnanam? Even having gone to, after having gone to the Brahmaloka is teacher there. Brahmaloka is the highest heaven. So a lot of things to enjoy there. So this person can go and enjoy his life. Like even in Bhuloka also, people have got opportunity to come to Vedanta. There are so many Acharyas are there. So many classes are going on. Isn't it? But only a handful of people come. You can count them on your fingers. Only so many people come. Why? Because all others are all enjoying. So-called enjoyment within inverted commas. They are pursuing their artha and kama purusharthas. Of course, some do dharma purushartha also. The dharma purushartha will take them back home to the Brahmaloka, maximum. After that, they have to get jnana. Suppose they don't choose. Here also they have not chosen. There also they don't choose. Then what happens? That Krishna explains in this sloka. So he says, all the worlds, O Arjuna, including the realm of Brahmaji, Brahmaloka, whoever goes there are subject to return. But after attaining me, there is no rebirth, O son of Kunti. So we must understand, our scriptures talk about 6 heavens. Bhuvarloka, Suvarloka, Maharloka, Janaloka, Tapoloka, and Satyaloka. Bhuhu, Bhuvaha, Suvaha, Maha, Janaha, Tapaha, Satyam. So 6 levels of heaven. And in each higher level, the pleasures are higher. Security is better. It is finer and finer. And the highest is Brahmaloka. And Krishna says even that Brahmaloka cannot guarantee total security. Brahmaloka also comes under finite goals only. Which means you can go there, enjoy. And if you don't get jnanam, you have to return back. Return back to the Bhuloka. So here Krishna clearly declares that there is no such thing called eternal heaven. The highest heaven also comes under finite goal only. And therefore he says, Hey Arjuna, punaha avartinaha lokaha. Lokaha here refers to all the 14 lokas. The 7 up and 7 down. And all of them exist within time and space. There is only one thing which is beyond time and space, which is Ishvaraha, otherwise called Brahman in Vedantic language. Of course, he will talk about that later. So, lokas are within time and space, and that is why you have to travel to reach them. So, the very fact that you have to travel indicates that it is not available here. Because you travel to each of these lokas depending upon your punya or papa, isn't it? Upper lokas, punya, below lokas, atala sutala, and all that, papas. The travel is there, depending upon what is the balance in your balance sheet, punya papa balance sheet. And once you have exhausted that, punya or papa as the case may be, you come back. You have to come back to the bhuloka only. So, we're talking about the heaven. Up to and including Brahmaloka, they are finite, they are not eternal. Even Brahmaji is not a permanent position. Brahmaji, the creator, is not permanent. It is, in fact, a name of a position only, an office, like Prime Minister, President, like that we have. Brahmaji is one position. And having enjoyed that post for some time, even Brahmaji will have to vacate. So if Brahmaji has got to get security, he has to depend upon Jnanam alone. And therefore, everything is ephemeral. Whereas, Mamupetya tu Kaunteya, hey Arjuna, hey son of Kunti, if you come to me, if you attain me who is beyond time and space, Mamupetya tu Kaunteya punarjanmana vidyate. There is no question of infinite becoming finite again. There is no question of becoming a jiva again. And therefore, that alone will give you permanent security. That alone will give you eternal happiness. That alone will give you limitless fulfillment. And generally, people believe that heaven, especially Brahmaloka, to be permanent. Krishna says in the next sloka that even though life in Brahmaloka is very long lasting, still it is not permanent. We will read the sloka. Sahasra yuga pariyantam aharyad brahmano viduhu ratrim yuga sahasrantam teho ratra vido janah. So the Anvaya is te janah ahoratra vidah viduhu yat aha brahmanah sahasra yuga paryantam ratrim yuga sahasra anta. Te janah, those people, ahoratra vidah, who are conversant with day and night of Brahmaji, viduhu, no, yat aha, which is the day, Brahmana of Brahmaji, Sastra Yuga Paryantam, to be lasting up to 1000 Chatur Yugas, Ratrim and the night, Yuga Sahasra Antam, to be lasting up to the end of another 1000 Chaturyugas. So those people who are conversant with day and night of Brahmaji know the day of Brahmaji to be lasting up to 1000 Chaturyugas and the night to be lasting up to the end of another 1000 Chaturyugas. So totally 2000 Chaturyugas are one day of Brahma. We will discuss this sloka in the next class. Okay. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadhaya Purnameva Vasishyate Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om. Dhanyavadaha. Thank you all very much.
Thank you very much, Guruji. Namaskaram.
Namaskaram. Hari Om.
Hari Om Guruji.
Harihi Om.
Hari Om.
Namaskaram.
Namaskaram.
Thank you, Guruji.
Hari Om. Thank you.
Thank you, Guruji. Thank you very much for the session. Just wanted to, I don't have any question, but just wanted to say how much I appreciate, especially today's class, the things that you explained in today's class.
You don't need to say that because the very fact that you are attending the classes that shows that how much you can.
But yeah, the past couple of classes, both Bhagavad Gita and then Bhagavad Gita, I could only partially attend, and then I had to miss the Mundokopanishad class because there was no connectivity where I was traveling.
Yeah, send me a message. Yeah, that's okay. It happens. Even with me also, I had to cancel a class because of the connectivity problem.
Yeah.
That's all, all dependence on the worldly things. Dukkha.
Yeah. So they just wanted to share something simple that where Krishna is advising how you can prepare yourself to think about him even at the last moment. So there was this small booklet called Knowledge Drops that was distributed to patients with cancer who were in their terminal stages. And there one of the quotes was, be prepared for the last moment by being prepared for it every moment.
Correct.
So that's something that makes so much.
Yeah. That is the essence.
Yeah. That's the essence.
You are prepared for it every moment. The last moment also you will be prepared.
You will be prepared. Yeah.
Very nice.
And I was just having some. I had questions about some personal thing that was going on in my mind, and then I was not going to ask that in the class, of course. But then it's although my dilemma was answered automatically by when you said that our permanent relationship or the role is only with infinity or even just with the Lord, and all other roles are all only incidental, and that we have been given the opportunity to love them and serve them and experience and serve the Lord through them. So that was something that kind of, those couple of sentences answered so many questions I had in mind. Yeah.
Krishna gives all answers for all questions that we have got, isn't it? So we don't need to worry. Entire Bhagavad Gita is only a question answer session, not only questions of Arjuna, but even what questions we have in our mind, they get answered. At the end of 18th chapter, you will feel, all doubts, all questions that I had all along in my life, they have all been answered. That's the beauty of Bhagavad Gita, So, and these answers are all from somewhere. Krishna is not giving himself. It's all there in the Upanishads. All that he has done a beautiful work is condensed the whole thing. Veda Vyasa, we should say, condensed the whole Upanishad knowledge and presenting it in a capsule form in Bhagavad Gita. So that is what it is.
Yeah, sometimes we lose a lot of mental energy by expecting things from others, which are totally
Absolutely
make any sense. Or for that moment, that appears the most important thing. But then when you just turn your mind towards wisdom, that appears so trivial, and then why did you even break your head about it?
Exactly. then you see, you get yourself to answer, no? Okay, I'm disturbed by this, but this happened last time also. I overcame that. So now also, what is the problem? Why I should bother about it? Why I should keep on dwelling upon that? Let it pass. If somebody has acted in a very, very undesirable manner, unacceptable manner, your compassion should come out. Poor guy, he is sick. That is why he doesn't understand what the reality is. That's why he is behaving like this. I often give the example in earlier classes. When we go in road, especially in India, I don't know whether it is there in the place where you live. In India, sometimes we will find one person on the road in rags or sometimes not even wearing anything and taking some stone and throwing at people, or shouting, or waving and doing lots of things. Do we get angry with him for anything? We don't. We sympathize with him. He's a poor guy, my God. If at all, if possible, I mean, it's dangerous to help such people also. But if at all possible, we try to help such people. So that compassion, when it comes to when we see such a person, that compassion should come out for everybody around us. It is not easy. Let me tell you, I mean, because we are still not completely transformed, but we are in the process of transformation. And we can bring in the transformation only through understanding, practicing, and putting all these things into effect. That is the important thing. So you're right. I mean, we will always have this issue. Our knee-jerk reaction is what we are used to in the past. Right? So that is why Chinmayananda Swami used to say, take out some time and be with yourself. If you look at it, except for the time that we sleep, and there also we are not with ourselves. Sleep also, we are in the dream world. Only that the nature of the world changes. Otherwise, in this world, every moment, we are engaged with something or the other relating to the world, whether it is relations, situations, goals, something or the other. We are never able to spend even 10 minutes on our own. I want to contemplate, I want to think. That we don't do. That's very important. And that is why one of the sadhanas which are prescribed is Maunam. Maunam is a sadhana where you control, because there is one urge which is a very uncontrollable urge for human beings, which is to keep on talking. You want to keep talking, I've seen that in the Nana in the dining hall. My God, I mean, if you think that you go to dining hall and you will just sit quiet, your mouth may be quiet, but you will be hearing so much noise, everybody talking at the same time. So that's an urge. That is a natural urge to speak. So self-control is one of the things. Observe Maunam for a full day. Tell everybody in your house, I'm not going to talk to anybody. I'm going to observe Maunam. And Maunam does not mean you are thinking of all the things but not talking. Maunam means you keep your mind also in Maunam, not engaged, maybe only engaged in thought of Bhagavan.
That's good.
So Ekadashi and all these kind of vratams are very nice days, appropriate days for practicing all these. These are all sadhanas one needs to practice whenever one gets an opportunity. So that is all that we have to do. Okay. Anyhow, good. Thank you.
Hari Om.
Yes, Girish ji.
Hari Om Guruji.
Hari Om.
You see the difference between the other religions and our religion is mainly they are believers. They are not have the liberty to question what is written in their holy books.
Yes.
But in our case, majority of them are Guru and Shishya. So we have the liberty to ask any question, and eventually we are being answered, and that's why we are being called as seekers. Thank you. And now, how do we prove that we do not have another life? Because that is also one of the transformation. It is happening while learning this, but that is from initially starting with belief, and then it is being proven. That is our journey. So, but this particular point, that how do we prove that we do not have another life? Do we have any appropriate answer to it, please?
Absolutely. Now, do you believe in punya and papa?
Yes, yes,
You do? From
yes.
where you get the knowledge of punya and papa?
Well, mainly from the scriptures after coming through, pursuing this journey.
Do you believe there is a rebirth?
Definitely, yes.
How do you know that?
At least we could see many people who have got special skills, and some people who have not committed anything, but unfortunately they are giving a birth with a deformity and things of that sort.
So you are relating that to rebirth on what basis?
It is based on their karma.
It is based again on scriptures.
Yeah.
So when it comes to rebirth, we accept what scriptures are saying. We have no proof, right? Because
Okay.
if you say, okay, this fellow is a child prodigy, then he is born again, he was a big musician, and what proof you can offer? Nothing. Except
Nothing.
say, this is a proof, this itself is a proof that there is rebirth. Okay.
Agree.
Which is being talked about. So I got the knowledge of rebirth from scriptures. I got the knowledge of punya papa from scriptures, and I have trusted all of them. I have never asked anybody what is the guarantee. What is the proof of there is something punya and there is something papa? Is there any proof for punya papa? Nothing.
Right.
Isn't it? Similarly, scriptures say that if you attain moksha, there is no rebirth. So that is the only Shastra is the only pramanam for us. And because Shastra is the pramanam, Acharyas right from, Vedavyasa up to our own gurus, they have actually been repeating this message again and again and again.
Okay.
We have no reason to disbelieve them.
Okay.
So we have gained the knowledge because of that pramana, because of that source. It is not a blind belief. There we have got some reason to trust that source, because so many other things we have trusted, we have got a reason to trust that source.
And we believe that it is logical also.
And it is logical also.
Correct.
Because ultimately, if you analyze, sit back and analyze logically also, we can say, what is Jiva? Jiva is nothing but individual. Right?
Agree.
And individual is a part of the total. Out of total, only individual can come.
Agree.
And this jiva is determined by punya papa. So what jiva you are, whether you are human, animal, plant, whatever it is, mosquito, determined by your punya papa.
Agree.
Right? And then, as long as punya papa is there, punarjanma will be there. And every birth you take as a human being, you do karmas. And those karmas, you earn punya papa. So this punya papa collection is a never-ending process.
Okay.
How can you put an end to that? Getting rid of these punya and papa balances.
Agree.
Isn't it?
Yes.
Even like Nirav Modi and all this Malaya, you run away with these balances, you will be caught and brought back. There is only one way, which is declare yourself bankrupt. So I am bankrupt of all punya papa. I give up all my punya papas. All along, I had ignorance that I am a jiva and all that. Now, by studying the Upanishads, gaining the knowledge, I realize I have understood that I am actually nothing, not a jiva at all. Jiva was only an appearance. It was mithya. Satyam is aham brahmasmi. Once you understand that, then all this punya papa, everything goes away.
Okay. Okay.
So that is how the scriptures also present this entire scheme of moksha and not having punarjanma. So if you understand that that means what? Once you realize you are no longer individual, but you are the total, you become the total.
Okay.
Isn't it? So that is how we have to understand all these things.
Okay. Okay.
Huh?
Thank you.
We can't give, because no punarjanma, for negative things proof cannot be given. Positive things only proof can be given. Isn't it? In
Agree.
court also, in legal jurisprudence also, this is there. This principle is there. You cannot ask somebody to prove what is negative. Right?
Okay.
You can only prove what is positive. Negative cannot be proved. So that is why if you do not have rebirth, cannot be proved. But you have rebirth can be proved. Proved as universal said. By what, looking at around us and some instances and all, that rebirth is established.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Are you?
That is a realization.
That is the realization. Exactly.
Okay.
That's
Okay.
a,
Thank
yes,
you.
Sulekha ji.
Hari Om Guru.
Hari Om. Thank you. Sulekha ji.
Hari Om Guruji.
Yeah.
I was just thinking about your comments regarding Mauna during this satsang and taking the time for Mauna. It doesn't mean only that you don't speak, but that those things that are around us, whether it be texting or other distractions, are reduced at that time. And for many, Mauna, as you mentioned, is very difficult. The urge to speak is often there. The urge to learn or to know is there. So the urge to speak is there. So I thought about this phrase as you were saying, Mauna, which is we have 2 ears and 1 mouth. So before doing complete Mauna, we have 2 ears. So we listen twice as much as we speak. And that could be a first step to Mauna, so that rather than speaking all the time or bringing forth our own thoughts to anyone who wants to hear it, to listen much more. And in that listening, that moment of silence of our vak, of our speech, is also controlled a little bit. There's a bit of a discipline there to learn how to listen more than we speak. And then if there's an opportunity to say something that is worthwhile in our own mind, or that can be of help to somebody, then at that time our discipline kicks in, or our sadhana kicks in. So it just brought to my mind what you said about Mauna as sometimes can be a very extreme step if for somebody that may not be used to that kind of concept. But the first step, at least for me, has been to listen a little bit more than I
It's not an extreme step. In fact, if you deliberately follow, because in Gurukulam, we were advised to do observe Mauna. And what we will do, even for going for a lunch and, dining hall and all, we will put a slip here. I am observing Maunam. So that is a warning to other people. They will not come and talk to you. They will ask you any questions. And there are places you go sit, alone and contemplate. And Maunam, you can contemplate in your mind what you have learned. Right? So it's a sort of a nididhyasanam. You can use Maunam for that purpose.
Yes.
So
Yes.
it is not very difficult. We have all done it rather. Only problem is there, Gurukulam settings very nice. Here we have so many things around. They're very difficult to practice, but then one should try rather. One should only speak when it is required to speak. That's it. As you said.
Thank you, Guruji. Thank you. Yes, I agree with you. I agree. And I appreciate what you have said today. Thank you.
Thank you. Hari Om. Hari Om.
Hari Om.
Thank you all. So we'll meet in the next class.
Thank you, Guruji.
Hari Om Guruji. Thank you. Good night.
Thank you.